What's up, guys? It's Friday, December 18th, 2020. That means, guys, that next week it's Christmas. It's practically here. Welcome to this week's edition of the FritzCast. How y'all doing, man? We've had an exciting past couple of weeks here on the FritzCast. In case you've missed them, I've interviewed Cliff Maloney from Young Americans for Liberty, which was a great interview about their successful strategy that they employed over the past election cycle and their plans for the future. And then I also got to interview Angela McArdle, who's seeking the Libertarian chair nomination in 2022, coming up, not this coming year, but the following year. Great discussion with her about what she wants to do with the Libertarian Party, how she wants to focus the direction and all that. And I think that these are great interviews to listen to because these are the future of the Libertarian and Liberty movements coming into play. I mean, there's a lot of soul searching that people have to do with the outset of the election that just happened with President-elect Joe Biden, whether you like it or not, folks. It's President-elect Joe Biden. The Electoral College has voted. Everybody that's sitting here going, oh, there's still a chance. This is how we're going to do it. MAGA's going to stop the steal. Stop. Just stop. It's over. There is no more. It baffles me. Because every time the goalposts have just moved for the MAGA crowd, they have single-handedly moved. They've decimated goalposts. Goalposts don't exist anymore. Neither do rules. Neither do anything else. And I gotta say, I mean, there's a lot I could talk about, politically speaking. And you heard me say it last week that this episode pretty much wasn't going to be a political one. It's going to be a Christmas one, and it's going to be a Christmas one. So for those of you hanging in there thinking like, wait, I thought he said he was going to do Christmas stuff. Yeah, I am. The primary focus of this episode is going to be more Christmassy and cheerful and, things of that nature. But it's like I got to talk at least a little bit about the politics stuff because there's so much that could be talked about. Vaccines are getting rolled out left and right for COVID-19. Pfizer, Moderna, I think just got their FDA emergency approval today. A lot of that's going on. And I'm by no means an anti-vaxxer. I've gotten plenty of vaccines in my lifetime. My daughter's getting all of her scheduled vaccines. As is typical for a child, in their very, very early years. In no means am I an anti-vaxxer, but I've made it clear to my friends, my family, and people who have asked me, I'm not getting a COVID vaccine because, this is what gets me. Biden, Harris, most of the Democratic Party had stated before the election results came in that they would be very wary of a Donald Trump vaccine, especially one that was, pumped out so quickly in record speed time. And then after the election, after Joe Biden wins and, it's President-elect Joe Biden, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris and all that. Now all of a sudden it's, hey, the vaccine's getting pumped out. Get it pumped out en masse. Get it out everywhere because this is a great thing. But it's like we're not going to attribute it to Donald Trump. This happened under the Trump administration. Whether you like it or not, whether you like Trump or not, it has happened under the Trump administration. I read a story just yesterday where Joe Biden said, he was cautioning that Donald Trump might have hyped up vaccine production and availability so that if it is undersold or if there is not enough, if there's a shortage, it would be blamed on Biden because Biden will have taken over at that point. And so you can see how the chess pieces get moved around depending on who's in power with these things, and it's sad. It's extremely sad. But I said I wasn't going to get the COVID vaccine, and I'm not. I'm not going to get the COVID vaccine because it has been rushed in record time. I understand that there's certain aspects with the development of this vaccine in particular where a lot of the science behind studying the virus and its patterns and all that has been shortened because coronaviruses, of course, are strains of common colds. This COVID-19 just happens to be a very aggressive and different form. Not fighting that front. But I'm wary of taking something so rapidly developed, so hyped and pushed out, and especially just for this is food for thought. I've been working through this whole thing, and if I've gotten COVID, mind you, I wear the PPE, I wear the masks and all that jazz, and disinfect my work surfaces every day, the whole 9 yards on that. If I've gotten COVID, I haven't known it, meaning I would have been somebody who's asymptomatic because I haven't really felt like poop at all. I haven't really had anything like that happen. And I'm the type of person that if something doesn't make me feel like poop, I don't take anything for it. Why would I take a test to see if I have COVID, even if I'm asymptomatic, just so I know that I have COVID? I understand the broader aspects of that argument, but in my mind, it's, Fritz isn't sick, Fritz isn't getting a test, Fritz isn't sick, Fritz isn't going to the doctor, that kind of thing. And that's just been in my head. I won't get a COVID test if I don't feel sick. If I don't feel sick, I'm going to keep working because, if the PPE works, if the masks work, social distancing work, and all of that works, then it's kind of a moot point for me to get a test, isn't it? But the vaccine, I don't. It's not an anti-vaxxer's position, I'm not saying, I'm going to take this vaccine and then boom, like I'm afraid my arm's going to fall off, or I'll become celibate or sterile. That's the word, not celibate, but sterile in 5 years or 10 years or whatever. But just all the companies that make it have immunity clauses, and even if you can sue because of some damages or whatever, chances are you're probably not going to get anything out of it if there are damages. Hopefully there's not. But, I'm not against people getting a vaccine if they want to get a vaccine for it. I know people don't want to compare it to the flu, but here's a guy that doesn't get his flu vaccine. And one of the reasons I don't get the flu vaccine, I believe it was 2018, 2019, its effectiveness was 38%. And I'm like, at that point, it's not even 50-50 getting the shot. So to me, there's some business aspects to this, healthcare stuff. And Pfizer and Moderna, they're just big pharma companies that any other day of the year people would, or any other year, well, I won't say any other day of the year because 2020 is not the year for that, but any other year, these are companies that are highly criticized by people who hate big pharma, but now they're suddenly being praised by those same people for pumping out a vaccine at such a record rate for people to get, and people are acting as if there's not money tied into this. There's money tied into this. There is. So at the end of the day, I won't get the vaccine, especially because I've read articles from such publications as the New York Times, which stated bluntly about 2-3 weeks ago, right before the first batch of vaccines started shipping out, that hey, when you get that vaccine, you can't not wear a mask, because what we're hoping is that this vaccine prevents you from getting COVID. We don't know if it will prevent you from spreading COVID, though. Whatever, just whatever. Not taking it. All right, if you want to take it, go ahead. All right, that's that's probably the most libertarian position to give you, is that your body, your right. You either can get pumped up with a vaccine or you can't. Your choice. And I don't believe that choice should prevent you from anything. Society returning to normalcy, or what have you. Another thing I could talk about, but I've been going on for about 10 minutes, and I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna focus on all this politics stuff. Is that just yesterday or the other day, Joe Biden came out and said something along the lines of, I know it's not going to be popular for me to say this, but schools should open up within the next 100 days. And it baffled me, because up until now, people have been saying schools shouldn't be open. Some people were pointing at schools opening as a rise in COVID cases and all that. And then, oh, wait, the team switched. Donald Trump's not in the isn't going to be in the hot seat that much longer. And the guy that's about to take over is saying, oh, yeah, schools should be open. Why is it mystically changing now? Find that a little skeptical. But there's a host of other things that we could talk about. It's just that I am so burnt out on politics. I'm tired of going on Twitter, on Facebook, trying to unravel some of the Trump legal cases with the election results leading up to the Electoral College, which voted already and sustained and upheld, whatever form of the word you want to use, that to make President-elect Joe Biden the President-elect. And then you still have GOP senators going, yeah, the legal avenues are really, really shrinking now, just not wanting to have the balls to break away from the MAGA cult and say, it's over, because you can't say that in the Republican Party now, which is going to provide for very, very interesting dialogue on this show going forward in the future. But that being said, I told you that I wanted to do a Christmassy episode, and there's a reason to that. Because part of what's playing into me just being burnout and sick and tired of the politics is the fact that it's the Christmas season. I get very immersed in the Christmas season. You might find it stupid. You might find it silly. Some people hate Christmas. Some people really do. They don't like anything about it. They don't like the Christmas carols. They don't like the songs. They don't like anything. Which is, that's anybody's prerogative. You can like Christmas. You can hate Christmas. You can do whatever. You can do whatever you want. Honestly. But for me, Christmas every year is just, I don't want to say the cliched stuff. I don't want to say magic, mystic wonder, I don't want to say it in that manner. But I do want to say just that there's just this underlying, I don't know, there is a spirit in the air that kind of overwhelms and overtakes me. I think, anyway. And it just puts me in a different kind of mood. It really does. It really does change my whole spirit, my whole outlook. And when I say that I get immersed in this stuff, I mean, I love it. I love so much about Christmas, whether it's family gatherings or baked goods or cheesy Christmas movies from my childhood. I love it all. I really do love it all. And it's hard for me to figure out where to start with all of that. I think first and foremost, it is just it's funny. It's really funny because it's not so much a religious aspect thing either. If you know me as a person right now, I'm very much somewhere lost in the sauce. I've coined myself an agnostic. I was baptized Catholic. I grew up and was baptized again as a Mormon LDS person. I walked away from the LDS church. In something that's a very, very long story for me to try to explain. And probably sometime in the next year I'll do an episode kind of focused on religion, spirituality, and philosophy. But now I'm an agnostic. I've said I'm leaning towards orthodoxy. At the same token, I'm diving in and reading a bunch of Gnostic gospels and theology, and it's really piquing my interest in different ways. So it's hard for me to peg myself on that. But the joy of Christmas thing that I have, it's not so much a religious-oriented thing, because I like it for all the goofy little stuff. I like it for the Christmas lights, the decorations, the tree. Funny thing about the tree, I'm looking at the sign that's hanging up. I can't show it to you, but because it's hanging up on the wall. But it says "Farm Fresh Christmas Trees." It's a sign that I got for Christmas because it's an inside joke between me, my wife, and some of our good friends, namely Jason, my buddy Jason. Because years ago I came up with this cockamamie scheme. This is called boredom at work and downtime, and just my goofiness. It started off as a joke where I told my buddy Jason my lifelong dream and ambition is to become the world's greatest Christmas tree farmer, and he thought it was ludicrous when I said it, and when I said it, I was joking. But because I like to go through and be thorough with a joke, I told him, no, this is a really lucrative business that if you do it the right way, you can make a lot of money off of it. And he's like, you can't make a lot of money off of growing Christmas trees. Impossible. And I started it with basic economics. I was like, all right, well, how much do you think it costs for me if I just went out if I had a field, all right, if I had a farm, if I had a certain amount of acreage or whatever, how much do you think it costs for me to plant tree seeds? Only thing it costs is time and hard labor from me. Let's forget the fact that I have to obtain the land somehow, okay? That's not worked out in the scheme. But it started with that, and I said, think about this. I said, and it was funny because he has a tradition of going to Christmas tree farms and cutting down his own trees, which is something that I'll get into that in a minute. He always goes to a Christmas tree farm and cuts his own trees. And I'm like, how much does it cost you? How much does it usually cost to get one of those trees? And he goes, oh, it's like $45, $50. I said, it's $45 to $50 for you to go to this Christmas tree farm, walk through the patch, find a tree, cut it down yourself, drag it to your car yourself. It costs about $50 a tree. He goes, yeah. And I go, all right, think about it. If I get 150, 200 people to show up at my Christmas tree farm and it's $50 a tree, and I actually was more generous. I broke it down into different price groups and stuff. I said, imagine if I get, and we'll pull out the handy dandy calculator to make sure that we don't screw up here. If I find my calculator app, that is. My calculator app's always hiding on my phone. I said at $50 a tree, if you get 150 guests, you've made $7,500 right there in a season. $7,500, $50 a tree, 150 people. Say you get, 250 people. You're at 12.5. Say you get 350 people. Ooh, you're at $17,000. And I said, but mind you, I lined this up and I said, that's not all you do, though. You don't just have Christmas trees and have people come and cut it down themselves and all that crap. No. You have a gift shop set up, right? Homemade Christmas decorations, right? Sell hot cocoa, right? Make craft beers, like little Christmassy craft beers, make some of them up, sell them. And I rolled out this plan about how you can make $1 million every year with a Christmas tree farm with just goofy little shit on the side. And he was convinced, and now we have, now I get, stupid little Christmas tree farm signs from my buddies as inside jokes because people like joking around with my dreams. Yeah, that's... And the thing with the Christmas tree farms is, like I said, he goes every year. Now, me and my wife had a tradition going every Black Friday back, I guess, the past 3-4 years. So it was like a little mini tradition where we would go to a new Christmas tree farm around the area, walk around the patch, find nothing that we wanted, and promptly leave, come back home, go to Richardson's Floral, which is like 2 blocks. Well, not 2 blocks down the road. It's like 2 miles down the road. And buy our Christmas tree from there. That's what would happen every Black Friday. And we went this Black Friday to Old Stone Farm in Pennsylvania. And I anticipated the same thing to happen. I was like, we're gonna go to Old Stone Farm. We're not gonna find anything. Come home, go to Richardson's, get our tree. That's not what happened. We start walking through the patch, and immediately, the first tree my wife lays eyes on she's like, that's the one. And I look at it, and I'm like, that's a pretty damn good, full, thick tree. But we keep walking through the patch, and we have Emmy with us, my daughter, 14 months old at the time, which was just last month. But you get what I'm saying. She found a tree. We let her pick out, a little baby tree. And we cut that, even though it should have grown into a full adult tree, whatever. Didn't care about that. She found a tree that she liked. We cut it for her. And then we went back to that first tree and cut that tree down. And I was shocked. I was like, the tradition has been broken. We have our Christmas tree from a Christmas tree farm, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the fact that we found a tree from the farm. We cut it down ourselves. I loved everything about it. And I hope to do it again next year and many years to come until I have my Christmas tree farm, at which point it'll just be I get first pick of the crop. That's how that's going to work. But that's not all I like about the Christmas season. Like I said, the lights, the decorations, I love decorating my house. I don't know why. Because I really am tired of my house. Now, I want a bigger house. This is a starter house. It's feeling smaller by the day with a growing kid. And we're planning for more kids on the way. And it just doesn't seem like this house is going to cut it much longer. But I love going out and decorating. I got my icicle lights up. It's funny, too, because I like colorful, display lights and all that stuff. Outside is it's all just classic white lights. That's it. I have white icicle lights dangling from the roof and the gutters. I've got a couple of those little Christmas deer that light up that are, again, pure white. A couple of spiral Christmas trees. I have one inflatable. It's a Snoopy with a little Christmas package. I used to have an inflatable Yoda. Yes, an inflatable Yoda. But he's broke. He's got mold. And I'm not sure that he's going to be salvageable, so I don't know, but I have the inflatable Snoopy. I'm not gonna buy inflatables anymore because they don't last long. It seems like the inflatables start getting dirty and dingy, and it's hard to clean them. It's hard to find replacement parts for them, and overall they suck. They really do. Overall they suck. So I'm moving more towards actual physical, like, put together things, like the little spiral trees that we have, the little wire frame deers that we have. Just bought from Aldi this year birch trees. It was like a 3-pack of birch trees that light up. Really, really awesome little things to put out in the yard. And again, all white lights. Everything's all white lights, and I actually like it. I really like it's just like a classic look to it. Really cool. But, stringing up the lights on the Christmas tree and decorating the Christmas tree. My wife has a bunch of Winnie the Pooh ornaments, so I call it our Pooh tree. But I have Star Wars ornaments, and we have goofy little things. We have a nice little snowflake that we put on top of the tree. Emmy had little decorations for her tree, and that's just stuff that I love about this season. Something about the lights. I really just love seeing the lights. Really do. I love seeing people do up their houses in different lights. Here in Delaware, we have a famous guy who renamed his street to Santa Claus Lane and is like famous for his light displays that he does up. And every year people go drive up to his house, and he has Santa Claus there and everything. He goes all out. Do I hope to be him one day? I have no idea. I have no idea, but I do love going and visiting it just to see what he does every, year in and year out. He does like themes now where he picks different things. But I love going out on my street, just through my neighborhood, to see how people decorate in different ways and all that. And especially ones that don't do it lazy. I hate those little, like, the people who have the little projector things that just project the little red and green dots, like, and they're like, "Ooh, I decorated for Christmas." You didn't decorate for Christmas. You didn't decorate for Christmas. Shut up. Get a ladder. Get some lights. Really frickin' decorate. All right. There's somebody that has one of those inflatable Santas with reindeer on the top of their roof, and it spans the whole section of their whole roof. I'm like, damn. And then down the block at the entrance of the neighborhood, there's a house that has like 14 inflatables and a bunch of other ones too. I mean, like, their entire lawn is covered in Christmas ornaments because it's like they battle it out with the neighbor across the street and who can be more ridiculous in the amount of stuff that they put up. It's crazy. Because the one side, the side on the left has inflatables, just inflatables out the ear. They have other physical lawn, decorations as well, but they're all about the inflatables. And then across the street, they have a couple of inflatables, but they have like this big giant Santa sitting on a throne, and they got nativity sets and other lights and stuff. But they battle it. It seems like they're battling it out. I don't know. I really don't know, but something brings me joy in that. Seeing people decorate with that, seeing how people decorate their houses and what kind of traditions that they formulate and get into. I just love it. I love it. I eat it up. I really do. And then the one of the other things I've been getting into is the music. I love the music, and this is actually what I'm about to show you is a prized possession that I found back when my wife's grandparents lived in Oklahoma. I would frequent every time that we went, every year that we went. I would say that we have to go to different antique shops. And because I love going through antique shops. I don't know why. I think it's just the old stuff that's there. I find all the old stuff interesting and different. I haven't really bought anything too outside of the box, but like I've looked at typewriters before just because I'm a nerdy writer type, and it would be cool to have a really old typewriter. But like just looking at some of the old stuff, some of the old artifact stuff. But oftentimes they have records there, and if you know me, I'm a pretty big vinyl collector. I'm not touting that I have like some big collection. I have maybe 100 or so vinyl records. If I really care about something, I have it on vinyl. And yes, I do listen to my vinyls as well. I have a record player that can digitize them. I've never done that kind of thing though. I don't care to do that. But at one of those shops in Oklahoma, I found this. 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. This is a TV special, which I believe. This was a Rankin Bass. It says Rankin Bass Presents right on the top. It was a Rankin Bass cartoon TV special, Night Before Christmas, that has Tammy Grimes as Albert Mouse, John McGiver as the mayor, George Jobel as Father Mouse, and the story told by Joel Gray. The story of Albert writing a letter to Santa Claus about how he isn't real, and Joshua Trundle, the clockmaker, wanting to make the clock to play a song to bring Santa back in, and then weaving that story into the classic "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" story. But this album is actually, it's like the entire TV special. I know it says in this big circular thing, it says from the Christmas TV special. It literally is. If I put this in, it's the entire special on record, including the songs, and it's just awesome. Bought it for like $2. $2. This is a rarity, by the way, from Disneyland Records. I don't think they've produced a new edition of this at all, and this is an original, as you can see. Because there's no barcode on this. A lot of the original records have no barcodes on them. If you get new pressed vinyl of some of the modern day releases or re-releases, they usually have they have a barcode on these things. If they're original, you won't see a barcode on these. And so for $2, and this is not like, this isn't one that I put on the record player and it sounds like crap. It sounds really good. It sounds really, really good, all things considered. And so I put that on at least. I put that on at least once every Christmas on the record player. I mean, I watch it on TV. I watch the special on television, but I put that on the record player just because there's some kind of like nostalgic feel of me putting it on a record player and sitting down and listening to it. That's just different and cool, you know. I don't know if you could find a copy of that online or not. You could probably look it up and obtain a copy. But I'm gonna go off on a limb and say it's increasingly rare to find it on vinyl record. But that's one bit of music that the Rankin Bass classics. Love the Rankin Bass classics. I was raised on the claymation and the stop animation Christmas classics, which almost all of them are Rankin Bass. Year Without a Santa Claus with the Miser Brothers, right? Love it. Have to see it. Have to watch it at least 2 to 3 times every Christmas season. Frosty the Snowman, that's another cartoon one. I don't know if that's Rankin Bass or not, though. But again, classic with Jimmy Durante as the narrator and singer. A Year Without a Santa Claus. I already said A Year Without a Santa Claus. Santa Claus is Coming to Town with Burgermeister Meisterburner, which if you watched the podcast last year, we had Bernie Meisterburner singing a song. He also sang a song from A Year Without a Santa Claus. Even some of the lesser-known ones, or lesser appreciated ones like Little Drummer Boy, but Nestor the Long-Eared Donkey. A lot of people don't know that one. Roger Miller narrates and sings in that one. And then I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is a classic. I can't get it. My wife loves Rudolph and Frosty's Shiny New Year and Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July. I'm not so much into those. Those ones seem like terrible stretches to me. They really do. But then, of course, I watch Home Alone and Home Alone 2 like 40 times. I annoy myself with how often I watch those two. For real. I really do. I watch them way too much. And it's because, you know what? It's because that's just childhood nostalgia right there. I don't care that it's a ridiculous movie. I don't care that really that Home Alone 2 is exactly the same as Home Alone 1. Don't care. Love it. Have to watch it. But one thing I did this year was A Christmas Carol. I've never really been into A Christmas Carol. So I asked on my Twitter, I was like, there's 99,000. Well, there's 900 different versions of A Christmas Carol. What's the ones that what are the ones that I'm supposed to watch? Like, that I should watch, barring, some of the givens. Like, everybody says Muppet Christmas Carol, and I'm like, that's a goofy little family adaptation that, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying it's a family-oriented, goofy little adaptation that I think everybody sees and everybody likes to a degree. I was out and out, though. I was like, A Christmas Carol. What's the one that I'm supposed to watch? And 2 came up from friends, family, and strangers. Alastair Sim in 1951 and George C. Scott in 1984. And so I watched both of those. And I even did a Twitter thread. I'm not going to try to read this thing verbatim. But I'll say the 1951 Alastair Sim, I thought Alastair Sim's portrayal of Scrooge was perfect. That's perfect. I think you had the makings of a man who was this hardened, disgruntled, just bastard, how he would act. And I think Alastair Sim portrayed this perfectly, from starting off as that evil bastard to morphing into that character of regret to finally becoming that man who had renewed himself and become overjoyed with the Christmas spirit and family, and realizing that he had done wrong for so long. I think Alastair Sim was that. Started off great as the ruthless businessman. His curmudgeonly opening and his facial expressions and acting throughout the scenes, like being spooked by ghosts, having fond memories, and then being spooked by ghosts again. Perfect. Thought it was a perfect portrayal. And then I watched George C. Scott's version. And in George C. Scott's version, I think you have a more stone, more sour, more mumbly, grumbly Scrooge. One who, like, when the ghost of Marley visits him, he's not even really fazed by it. He's just kind of playing it off. Like, you can't possibly be real. He does come around to it, but he keeps that stone portrayal and is a little more flat. I would say grumbly, stone-faced, and flat. But in earnest, I like Alastair Sim as Scrooge. I think he's the perfect Scrooge. After watching George C. Scott's 1984 Scrooge, however, I believe that one was a more cohesive, unified, everybody's relying on each other to make this a great film, whereas Alastair Sim's was more so revolving around Alastair Sim to make it a great film. But I loved it for what it was worth. I love the black and white films. I really do. Sorry, my contacts are screwing up right now. But I really do love like the black and white films. Like It's a Wonderful Life. I have this argument every year with people. There's people who just I don't know, they don't like black and white films, I guess. And so they watch like this the technology today. They've been able to go back, and put color on black and white films. And so there's a Technicolor, A Wonderful Life updated. If you buy the 4K, you'll get the black and white. There'll be a disc with the black and white 4K edition. And then there's the colored version of it. I think it was 2 years ago. I found the colored version. It was on Amazon Prime, and I think Amazon Prime had. So if you're Amazon Prime, you can go on and watch It's a Wonderful Life right now if you want, either in black and white or in color. So out of sheer morbid curiosity, I was like, well, I wonder what it's like in color. And I turn it on, and maybe I'm just spoiled from liking the film so much in black and white. But I went about 15 minutes and I just said, nope, I can't do this. Can't do this. And there's a couple reasons. I think if a film was made in black and white, there's some things to consider. Like when they were making it, they knew it wasn't going to be in color. So they had to make artistic choices in a black and white film. Like what kind of costumes were going to stick out on a black and white film, what kind of lighting was going to stick out on a black and white film. And I think coloring over it ruins all of that. Ruins all of that dynamic and cinematography and thought that went into that. I really do. I think if you watch It's a Wonderful Life in color, I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I think it ruins the whole thing. I know the Alastair Sim. I just watched. This was my first year watching George C. Scott and Alastair Sims. I can't even try to envision watching Alastair Sims in color. I don't want it. Don't want it. Don't eat it. Don't care. Don't give it to me. Just really don't. I think maybe I'm just a purist snob. I don't know. But I think it just ruins it. I think it just takes away from the overall film. And there's a ton more that I love too at Christmas time, Christmas film wise. Not Elf. I don't like Elf. I've watched Elf maybe 3 times in my life, and at the end of each one I'm like, I don't care for this. I'd rather watch Jingle All the Way than watch Elf. That's how bad it is. And I watch Jingle All the Way every year too. So there's that. But where else do I want to go with this? Where else do I want to go with this? There's books. I'll save the books for last. I did talk about music. So I have my records, obviously. I'm straight up a Sinatra Rat Pack Christmas junkie. Absolutely love Frank Sinatra singing Christmas. I have literally everything Frank Sinatra's ever done for Christmas. I think he's the godfather of Christmas music. I know that is an acquired taste for a lot of people. Some people just will never like it. I just find a gangster singing about Christmas. I find it funny, but B, I think there's just this touch that nothing else can that nobody else can measure up to when I listen to Sinatra sing A Christmas Carol. Just wholly does not match up. So if it's Sinatra, if it's the Rat Pack, Elvis Presley, I teeter on. Some of his stuff I like, some of his stuff I don't. Then it goes into a very, very interesting combination. Chicago makes great Christmas music. One of my favorite albums that I discovered probably 7 years ago was Chicago's Christmas album. I forget what it's called, but it's a white album with a Christmas wreath on the front. And it was their version of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen that hooked me. It has something to do with how different and outside the box their approach to it was. They weren't just doing covers of Christmas songs that you've heard time and time and time again. It was a Chicago spin on these Christmas staples, like God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. The way that they made it a funky tune was just wow. It was different. That gets followed up with like Piano Guys. The Piano Guys love their Christmas music too. Piano Guys, David Tolk, very good instrumental Christmas songs and approaches. An album that I fell in love with this year was the City of Prague Philharmonic Orchestra with the Crouch End Festival Choir. Oh my God, beautiful combination of orchestra and choir music together. As a guy who grew up listening to a lot of Mormon Tabernacle Choir and thinking that was the pinnacle, no, I really like this album, City of Prague Crouch End Festival Choir. I love it so much better. It's like tops Christmas classical choir, like what you expect a Christmas hymn to sound like. Bon, très bon. And then I like a smattering of different hard rock and heavy metal covers of Christmas music. But this, I gotta share this. I've shared this all over my Twitter, my Facebook, my everything. This album right here, Majestica, wrote the story of a Christmas Carol to your traditional Christmas songs. Like your traditional Christmas tunes are interwoven into these songs that they've written. And this album plays as the story of a Christmas Carol from start to finish. It's a concept album. And oh my God, it is amazing. For a power metal, nerd-loving, guitar-loving, loud music-loving guy like me. The track listing here, A Christmas Carol is just like their opening interlude to it. A Christmas Story has echoes of what's the song I'm thinking of? O Come All Ye Faithful. Has echoes of O Come All Ye Faithful in an original song that they wrote. The Ghost of Marley is literally the chorus of that song is Deck the Halls. But it's interwoven with also original music. The Ghost of Christmas Past is literally a rewriting of Hark the Herald Angels Sing. The Joy of Christmas, I believe, is an original ballad type of song that they've done. This album's amazing. This album is truly, let's come up with something original. Let's not just do a bunch of covers of the same old Christmas music that there's literally hundreds of thousands of copies of the same song. Let's make an album about a Christmas Carol. Let's take these themes, these instrumental pieces, these pieces of music, and reinvent them. My God, I've been sinking my teeth in this album, and I've listened to it non-stop. And I cannot recommend it highly enough for you nerds out there that like heavy metal, power metal music. Really love it. And then what I want to wrap up on here is the Christmas reading. Now, I've been reading a lot to Emmy. Been reading a lot of like Little Blue Truck's Christmas, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, How the Grinch Stole Christmas from Dr. Seuss. You know, your classics, but then just, or goofier stuff too, like this right here. Santa is Coming to Delaware. Had to get this book because I live in Delaware. Delaware is a state, by the way, for those of you out there who are like, Delaware doesn't exist. It does. I live here. I might not like living here, but I live here. But Santa Claus is Coming to Delaware. Oh my goodness. This book, by the way, is rewritten for like every state. So there's a lot of like personalized local stuff in there. If you find this, you'll find this, like, you can find this in your local bookstores, I'm sure. Just a great little like personalize a book. One of my all-time favorites. I didn't mention this in the Christmas movies, but A Charlie Brown Christmas. Yeah, I got the classics. And Charlie Brown Peanuts. I love anything Charlie Brown. Charles Schultz was growing up. Charlie Brown was the shit for me, straight up. And I have I don't have it out and available, but I started collecting these volume books that are like the history of Charles Schultz making the comic strip Peanuts. And it literally, people don't realize this thing goes back to, like the 1950s when he was making materials for that, and then evolved from there all the way up to modern day, where now they're still making the Peanuts movie, and Snoopy has a show on Apple TV and all that stuff. It's crazy. It's great. But one of the best Christmas stories that I've read, other than like A Christmas Carol, some of your classic stuff. This was a really outside the box one. Glenn Beck, The Immortal Nicholas. Pretty easy to read, easy to digest book. That reinvents the origins of Saint Nicholas, of Santa Claus. This isn't your typical reading of, here's a jolly elf that wears a red suit and lives in the North Pole. Glenn Beck took this to tie Saint Nicholas directly to Jesus Christ and make this spirit of Christmas really truly back to the original meanings of Christmas. This book was actually very well written, and I highly recommend it. This isn't your mom's Santa Claus. It's not. It's a Santa Claus that deals with loss, anger, regret. He's not a violent character, but he has to be a fighter. There's a character in here called Krampus, who is just an ugly, curmudgeonly dude that nobody loves, that Saint Nicholas takes on as a son figure. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil the story, but it's just an amazingly different version of Santa Claus, or of Saint Nicholas, one that you're not going to get out of the mainstream. So I highly recommend it. But these are just some of my favorite things with Christmas, and some of the things that I wanted to focus on and talk about. So I hope that maybe I gave you something that you want to dive into, or just got the wheels in your head turning about wanting to get in the Christmas spirit and maybe remove yourself from some of the outside madness going on. In any case, but guys, that's gonna do it for me. That's gonna do it for me. I just wanted to talk a little bit about Christmas and some of the stuff that I love about it. I didn't even get to talk about the baked goods and stuff. My wife's been baking to her heart's content, and I love all these Christmas goodies and stuff. I really do like it, and I hope that for those of you who do like it, I hope that you've been finding something this year with how incredibly awful the year has been. As it's coming to a close, I hope that you've been able to find something, some spirit of Christmas has been able to drum up inside you and give you something, something of joy and maybe splendor or something, or peace, whatever it may be. Like, I really hope that comes out for you. And if it's not your thing, sorry I wasted an hour of your time. No, for real though. But guys, that's going to do it for me. Next week, of course, is Christmas. So I can tell you right now, don't expect anything from me. Don't expect an episode popping out at the end of the week. If I do anything, it'll be shortly before. But I'm really trying to decompress, get my footing back for 2021, and for the uphill battle for liberty and libertarians, and it's gonna be a rough uphill battle for real. But I'm really starting to lay out the groundwork and figure out where FritzCast is going to go in 2021. Trying to line up a slate of guests that can build upon what we've already done here. We've done some pretty great work, and there's work yet to come. And I think I'm up to the challenge for it, especially because I'm going to be on shows like Todd Hagopian's Chief Chats with Todd Hagopian and Kevin Hobby. I'm scheduled, or I will be scheduled, to do an episode with them. And that's going to be great. It's going to be great to see where else we can evolve, what kind of guests we can bring on the show, and how we can put our best foot forward for the liberty movement, for real. So, guys, you can reach out to me on Twitter at FritzQS, Facebook.com/TheFritzCast, FritzCastPodcast at gmail.com. I just got the stereo app, too. I'm looking at playing with some things with that, open up some dialogues and try out some different things. So keep your eyes peeled for announcements on that. Other than that, literally, no matter what holiday you celebrate, if you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, the solstice, I'm not drunk, the solstice, or if you don't celebrate the holidays at all, if you are a curmudgeonly old Scrooge, hopefully something with the end of this year can give you a different perspective or fill your heart, for real. Remember, I love you guys, and I'll see you guys probably not next week, but by the new year, FritzCast will be back. Love you.